Oh, no. Well, you know, he is my teacher. By the way, this is Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center, but the spirit in this room tonight is vibrant, and I love that. I've known him for about 10 years when he came here, the very first year that we were in this building. And I bought a flute, and the rest is history. So he's my mentor, my teacher, my supplier of wonderful flutes. And since there is God in all of us, he's my God. Anyway, I love it. And I think it would be appropriate for Armand and Angelina to give us our welcome song.
So very easy. By the way, we are delighted to be home. I just have to say, Tail, Tail. Church is starting and we're glad to be home. So I can't remember the last time we went to a church just a couple of years later and had such a change and so many new faces as we have here. So welcome to the new, improved Unity of Williamsburg. We see some old faces, some new faces. It's delightful. So the words are very simple in this song. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. Did you know you're one with God for eternity? Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. You're not a stranger anymore. Now you're family. Okay, let's do it. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. Did you know you're one with God? Did you know you're one with God for eternity? Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. You're not a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore. Now you're family. All right, look around the room and welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. Did you know you're one with God for eternity? That's forever. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. You're not a stranger anymore. Now you're family. You're not a stranger anymore. Here at Unity. And now a word from our sponsor.
Yes, well, we really are one. Music brings us all together. It's a wonderful thing to open our hearts to something maybe we don't hear often. Let's sing along. And is there any new people in the group today? Yeah, right over here. Would you like to tell us who you are?
William Walker, and grew up in Williamsburg, and Richmond came back. It's been a while now, but I'm very much connected to Richard and Margie, where other at CW for quite some time. They were two of the greatest people that I've ever worked with. I won't even say work for, work with. Truly.
Thank you. Okay, well, let us do something a little different today. Let us reach into our godness and greet each other with the Christ in me greets the music in you. Or that idea. Okay, we can do that and then we will move on. The Christ in me greets the Christ in me. And now we'll have another song. Song number 2.
All right, this is very easy. We'll invite you to stay standing. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Okay. Oh, it's so far away, I gotta come. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Like the Macarena, we got handles it. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. If every journey begins with a single step, I'm taking my first step now. If we are to be the change that we want to see, I'm changing myself now. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Never be attached. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Allow me to get a little funky. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Yeah. Instead of waiting for there to be peace on earth, make peace within you now. Yo, 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 don't wait for peace to come.
What?
Be the change you want to see.
Hey!
God said that, yo. All right, and now, Mr. Teo. Oh, he's all wired up.
Okay, it's time to affirm what we know about Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center. Together, Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center is a radiant center of divine life, light, and love. We are a thriving, prosperous spiritual community that honors the divine presence in all and celebrates our oneness through loving service in our community. Again, we will say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Let's stand and allow Armand and Angelina to do that.
Is this another song? We're ready to go? There we go. We got another song. Let's do another song. That's right. Gandhi said it's important to know the rules so you know it was actually the Dalai Lama. It's important to know the rules so you can break them properly. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. So it's very easy. Everything will be okay in the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Nothing in this universe will ever last. So if you're feeling low, this too shall pass. Nothing in this universe will ever last. So if you're feeling low, this too shall pass. Why? Because everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. We're gonna shout out, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la. Every happy song needs some sha-la-la-la in it. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la. Even when the darkness seems to hide your way, after every night, a brighter day. Even when the darkness seems to hide your way, after every night, a brand new day, a brand new day. I say Williamsburg, hey! Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Just the audience. Okay, perfect. Just like the record, all together. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la. Okay, here comes the tricky part. Even when it all just seems to go your way, don't get attached, it's gonna change. Even when everything seems to be flowing your way, no matter how many times you saw the secret, it's still gonna change. That's okay because everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. So if you don't like the weather, wait a day. It's not the end. It's not the end. You can't believe all they do on TV. You talk about politics. It's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. But this is the end of the song.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, now it's the time for prayers and celebration. If you want to pray for somebody, for a family member, for a friend, for a situation, for a celebration, for our country, for the world, let's just take a moment, just put your hands in your hearts in this land like this, keep that intention. And now, let's say this. As we center ourselves on the presence and on power, we realize that our thoughts have the power to heal and make us. We send our mind, carry love, peace, joy, and life to situations and celebrations that we hold in our hearts. Thought by thought and prayer by prayer, we transform the world. Amen.
Well, today we're excited because Armand and Angelina are with us. Armand is an award-winning songwriter and inspirational speaker whose enthusiastic presence inspires us all to love life passionately. Angelina's art-opening and angelic voice draws from many languages. She was classically trained at Indiana University and was formerly with Epcot Center. They are international performers using songs, stories, and humor to remind us now to open our hearts and remember that we are meant to experience heaven on earth. If you will.
Well, that was very nice. That's one of the nicest things I wrote about it. So, usually when we come back to the church, I've been coming here since 1998 BA, except it wasn't this one. BA stands for Before Angelina. And Reverend Jan Sloan, I met her down in New Orleans in Baton Rouge. And then she said, I want you to come up and be a part of my center. So she became an adopted mom for us. And so we call her mom and go see her. So she was our gateway drug to this Unity Church area. So we're really, really delighted to be back. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our meditation, but we're going to start with a simple chant. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. And we invite you to breathe that peace in. As we quiet the mind, prepare for meditation, we invite the still small voice of God to become clearer as we let go of thoughts and sounds and get into the stillness. Our higher self becomes more apparent. The eternal truth of who we are our perfection, our divinity, our innocence becomes clear. Allow the music now to take you on a sacred journey into your higher power, into the peace of God. into your eternal truth. Using the universal language Great Spirit, we connect more deeply with you now. We trust your guidance. We are grateful for your presence within each of us. Very gently now. Begin to bring your attention to your physical body. This sacred sanctuary where we come to remember our oneness and share that with each other. And take that blessing out into the world and raise the consciousness of the planet, one vibration at a time. All is well, all is well. God is balanced, all is well. There's perfection everywhere. All is well. And so it is. Amen. So since it's your first time here, please give them a second chance and come back next week. I always get a little nervous if somebody's very first time in the church or center is when we're there. We kind of color out of the lines a little bit here, but we are delighted to be back. So our message today is...
Yes, our message today is there's no such thing as rejection, and how we can move forward to getting past disappointment or that we did something wrong.
Anybody ever felt rejection? It's a normal human emotion, okay? And we encourage you to feel all of them, okay? Sometimes people think, well, once I get more spiritual, I won't feel any of that other stuff. You'll still feel it because you're human. You're a body, mind, and spirit. You just don't buy property there anymore.
Right, and we want to feel those feelings so we don't get stuck in that.
That's right.
You know, feelings are real, emotions are real, and so it's good to express
You
them.
feel them and release them.
Yes.
However, in the spiritual realm of us, which is the largest part of us, there is no rejection, okay? Divine order is happening. I heard something a year or so ago that I just love. There are 3 answers that God gives to every prayer. One of 3 answers. Now, the most fun is obviously the yes. Those are great. When you pray for something and then it just shows up, you're like, yeah, that's perfect. But sometimes it's a not right now, which was me when I was looking for my beloved between my teens and 40. It was not right now. And then, I don't remember the date, but on August 27, 2000, I sang it and spoke at Angelina's church in Florida, Unity Church of Virginia.
Right, and it's always good to listen to those voices that come to you, because the day that I met him, I was going to, my church was a Unity Church in Orlando, and I had 2 jobs. I worked at Disney, but I also had a wedding business. So Saturdays were really crazy, long days, and I would get home sometimes to 1 or 2 in the morning. And so I woke up the next morning, the voice said, go to church. Like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm just not going to go to church today. The voice said, go to church. And I said, yeah, but I wasn't planning to go to church. I'm going to be late. I hate to be late for church. And the voice said, doesn't matter if you're late, go to church. I went to church, and that was the day I met him.
And I was only there that one day. I usually go to a church every couple of years. And the rest is history. So, if everything is in divine order, which we believe it is, and we speak about it a lot, there's only one presence and one power in my life, God, the good, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, all the omnis. Then, in the big picture, there's really no rejection, okay? There is just not right now. Or the third one, the third answer that God has for your prayer, which is not yes or not right now, is actually awesome, but it's not fun. And that's, I have something better for you. until you find the better for you, that can feel like a no. Okay?
Right.
For many of us, the most powerful example of that is, for many of us, most of us, is that prayer we made that our first marriage would last forever.
Right.
God, that didn't happen.
Amen.
But again, we believed it was supposed to happen. It felt like it was supposed to happen. It felt like a no when it didn't happen. It felt like a rejection when it didn't happen. But that was the other plan. The other plan was there's something better for both of you. You did your time together. Now it's time to move on. How many people have had a job they love, and because of moving or family situations or even getting fired, entertainers are considered to be hopelessly unemployable because we want to run everything our way. So,
Right. So like I was working at Disney at Epcot Center, and I sang there for 10 years. Then 9/11 happened, and they made big cuts at Disney because people weren't traveling. And so my group was one of the groups that got let go. And so for me, it was such a blessing because it opened the door to do this little time with Armand. So.
And we've all got those situations where things didn't work the way we thought they were supposed to, and felt that disappointment, and then we got guided to a different place. And you're going to get there anyway. You're going to get to that place the Spirit wants you to be. However, the time between the situation and when you get the answer is going to be a lot more fun if you trust it. It's going to be a lot more fun, even if you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, God, I trust you. Everything's in divine order. Sometimes when we're not really feeling it, like our emotions are feeling, we're like, I know everything's in divine order. It's all right. You can still say it that way because it's going to work out. And sometimes your emotions and your body are not where your brain, your left brain, and your spirit is. And so sometimes you have to go back and hold their hand. And what we say about our emotional body is when they're feeling something, go back and hold their hand, find out what they're hurting. Don't give them a spiritual platitude right then. Don't say, well, it could be worse. No, people don't want to hear that. Say, I'm sorry you're going through that. I know that feels really tough. I need you to trust me. We're going to move through this, and we're going to find out that it works okay. And then you hold their hand and bring them with you, as opposed to just leaving them down in the basement, and don't talk to them. I believe, honestly, that undealt with emotions wake up at like 3 a.m. and watch infomercials and want to buy all this stuff, this workout equipment that you only use for the first 3 months of buying it for 14 payments at $19.99. And so you don't want them getting stronger in the basement, those voices. You want to hear what they have to say and move on. A great example of that is the movie Inside Out. Anybody see the movie Inside Out? That little girl, she was like, I like joy, I don't like any of those other voices. But they had a voice too, and they needed to speak. And in the first movie, if you didn't see it, sadness saves the day. Because there's a place for all of that. Okay? Angelina talks about, what are you talking about in your Italian song, Lascia Ch'io Piango?
Oh yeah, so this Italian song by Handel is about freedom and how the freedom is when you can release those emotions and let those emotions out. And so then there's freedom on the other end of that.
Yeah, the other side of allowing yourself to weep is the freedom of letting that go. And so my whole life changed around the idea that things weren't working out the way I wanted them to, or that they were wrong. Anybody ever say, well, this isn't working out right, this is wrong? Divine order really, really helped me. That is kind of our go-to.
And as there's like, this too shall pass, everything will be okay in the end. There's no such thing as rejection. Yeah. But for some reason, we just always go to divine order. It's such a good spiritual law for us to go. It's not the way to deny what we're feeling. But as soon as we can, get through that and see, divine order for, like, example, we're lost, right? We're driving and we miss the exit, and we go, oh my gosh, we're lost.
15 minutes out, wrong direction.
But then we go, you know what? If we had gone down the right way, maybe we would have gotten a flat tire, or maybe, something worse. We don't know, but we know that we were guided to not take that exit and continue and be lost and then have to make another route or whatever.
When I share that kind of stuff with my non-Unity friends, they say, Armand, you're just making that stuff up to feel better. Now, I don't believe that's totally true, but even if it is, aren't we kind of making up the story about everything anyway? Aren't we kind of making that up? We're going to talk about a word here. This is in a different sermon. I probably said it last time we were here. But I love the idea of the word pronoia. Have you ever heard the word pronoia? Pronoia is the opposite of paranoia. Pronoia is when your whole life you walk around going, I feel like the universe is constantly conspiring on my behalf. And unity principles teach you in a weird way that God, the universe, is constantly conspiring on our behalf to get everything to work out the way it's divinely supposed to, the way your higher self wants it to work out, not the way your ego self wants it to work out. So we like that idea.
And I like these spiritual tools, whatever the ones that work for you, it's divine order, but because I'm a perfectionist and I like everything in control. And so if I go to these spiritual laws, then I'm not like in my head going, oh, I did it wrong, and I start blaming myself and all. So if I can quickly get to the spiritual law, then I'm not beating myself up.
Yes, and we're going to get so many chances to practice these principles. That's one thing. Another thing I love about Unity, practical Christianity. What does practical mean? It means something you can use in your life right now. It's something you can use with each situation that's challenging to find a new way to look at it. Now, I have a theory that if you're looking for the answer to why it didn't work out the way you want to, you're still going to get the reason eventually. But if you're looking for it in advance, if you say, okay, Spirit, show me the way, you'll find it a little quicker. You'll feel better while you're looking. I like to think of it like your keys. Anybody ever lost their keys?
Yeah, I lost mine a couple years ago and I'm still looking for it.
God said, not right now.
That's right.
So, if you lose your keys, chances are over time, even if you weren't looking, you'd find them. You'd go in the place where they were and find them. But don't you think your odds of getting there quicker if you start looking? And that's why when things don't go the way we want it to, usually it's the one that's struggling, the other one helps them, or vice versa. Is we try to get to that place where we start looking, okay, let's see the wisdom in this, let's see the answer in this. A great example are those years they call the Great Pause, 2021 and 22. Part of 2023 even had a part of it was for our career. It really, really messed with our organized world, like the rest of the world. Everything that we had kind of held on to kind of went away for it. She had me. Can you imagine being stuck with me in a house for 15 months where I had no place to perform? It was not pretty. It was not pretty. I feel bad for Broadway husbands and wives that have to deal with those people that couldn't be on Broadway. They're used to being huge every single night,
Well, I think I bugged you because I found out that I'm a project queen.
Yeah.
Always a project, and I did these little videos of the Daily Word every day, and you didn't really, you were on board, but there were some days it's like, I just want to go fishing.
I was told to get on board, so I learned, I'm going to tell you, this is another sermon, but I got to tell you this great marriage tip I learned. It probably goes both ways, but what I learned was if we disagree about something and it's not a big deal, go her way. And I came up with a great solution. If it's not a big deal, if it's a big deal, then you need to discuss it and figure out really what's best. And sometimes you can sway the other person. But most of it is just not. And so what I do now, let's say I'm like, honey, I'm in the mood for Thai food tonight. I want to get in there and I want to get some really good, rich Thai food. And what do you think about that?
I think Italian sounds really good.
And I go, oh my God. That was exactly my thought. I just wasn't conscious of it. It's a great thing in a relationship. Again, if it's not that big a deal, why argue over something that is unimportant? And I would say 80% of the time that I tend to go her way, I end up being glad for it afterwards. And so it works out really well. So, speaking of Italian food,
Okay.
you have something to say?
Well, I was going to talk, we were talking about the great pause and everything, and one of the things we decided to do was to put an addition onto our house. You know, we're not home very much, and this time, you know, we were home for a while, and we thought, let's do that. And it started out pretty good, pretty well, going well.
We did a little prayer. Dear God, if we're supposed to have this $30,000 addition while we're not making money, please give us a sign. And very, very quickly, when we made that prayer in July of 2020, a thing I had applied for in April of that year, which was a small business loan, a low-interest small business loan from the government that would actually pay for something like that. When I went for it, I was hoping it would just kind of help us get through the time financially. But when I made that prayer and I applied, it wasn't until like July that it showed up. And like the day after we said we want to build this addition, and I didn't necessarily expect it to happen, I went in my bank account and they had already put that $30,000 that I applied for in there and said, it's a sign, we're supposed to build it. So
Right, so we wanted the addition so we could have a room to do music and do Zooms, because that's what everything was. We used our guest bedroom and it was so crowded in there, so we thought, let's have a room where we could be designated for that. And so we did.
And then we felt some rejection because they couldn't get supplies. And what was a 3-month project became a year project. And then an amazing thing that felt like a rejection, it was going to cost $20,000 more than the original plan. And so then we had to go, well, God gave us a sign, yes, but now we're kind of getting a no. You know, what is it? And we both decided somehow everything will be okay in the end. It'll work out. Let's just do it. You know, we'll put it on credit cards. You know, when you put something on credit cards, you really don't have to pay it back. I'm kidding. But don't you act like that sometimes, you know? And so we just trusted. And yet, it wasn't coming. It wasn't coming back, and it took longer, and it took more, and it was blah, blah, blah. And then we finally got it done, and we said, we absolutely love it. And then things started moving. Like right before they sealed the wall where the new addition went into the roof, we had a horrible Florida rainstorm. And in that rainstorm, like 1,000 gallons of water poured into our house.
So Armand was resting, and I'm in the kitchen or whatever. I'm hearing this drip. I'm thinking, what is that? And I look at it, and there's like everything's dripping from the ceiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I put a bucket under, and now it's dripping over here and over here. And I didn't really want to wake Armand up, but it got to the point where, you know, I had a bucket here and here and here.
She looked like one of those Chinese acrobats. You ever see those Chinese acrobats who spin the plates?
So he came down, and very quickly we had a good system to
Yes,
get
so
it all.
we were like, okay, no thinking, just doing. She said, grab the shop vac. So we had a shop vac that we used. It was start sucking up the water. And I learned how to use the spin cycle on the washer and the dryer. The towel, spin cycle on the washer, dryer. Get all that going. But before that happened, I went, and is this being Zoomed? Anybody that's getting this live is going to affect their Alexa. Alexa, play Okay in the End by Armand and Angelina. Because we needed to hear that song because it did not feel okay. Okay. And then I said, Angelina, we got to find a way to make lemonade out of these lemons. And she said,
well, I don't have lemons, but we can make margaritas.
so she made margaritas out of limes. We're drinking margaritas, listening to the music, doing our work. It took about 8 hours to get all the majority of the water up and move the furniture and do all this kind of stuff. But we saved it. And then it dried out. And then a couple of days later, the insurance assessment came, and they looked at all the damage to any of the furniture and where the carpet, blah, 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 the drywall. And they said, you have about $6,000 worth of damage here from that night. And then we're thinking, oh my gosh, well, thank goodness we have insurance because it'll cover at least part of that. And I said, honestly, we're not going to replace this with wood that has a little bit of water damage. That's not a big deal. And I think we saved the carpet. He says, you probably did save the carpet by pulling it back and putting fans on it. He said, however, your insurance policy has a full replacement value in a situation like this. So they gave us a $6,000 check. It was only $500 to fix the drywall, which we needed to replace, and everything else. And guess where that $100 extra went to? Paying for the room. Now that rainstorm felt like a rejection. It felt like the universe is punishing us, in the moment. We move through that feeling to trust in divine order. And that's just, we've all got those stories where things didn't work out the way we thought they should, and it worked out. And for us, the greatest thing for the Great Pause was we found out that our career was in balance. It was serving me, who was constantly gregarious, who constantly wanted to be on the road, who constantly wanted to perform, but it was not serving my introvert wife, who wanted to be at home, nesting more. And we made a commitment during that time to come out of it with a balance. So even that, the most challenging times of our relationship with those 3 years, even that turned out to be a blessing for the rest of our lives. So, speaking of Italian food, and thank you for interjecting on that. If y'all remember Angelina way back in the early days, she very rarely ever spoke up here. And during the Great Pause, she became a producer, and it was like running the show. It was awesome. So, congratulations. That's another thing that happened. So, speaking of Italian food, I'm going squirrel. Okay. Speaking of Italian food, we were on our way to an Italian restaurant in Jersey one time, and the friend that we were with said, "It's the best Italian food you ever had. You're going to have your eggplant parmesan that you love so much. They make the best." And when we got there, it was closed. Anybody ever have something closed? You got your heart set on it. You got your heart set. It reminds me of a Flintstones episode. You younger people won't know this thing. They're called the Flintstones. Anyway, and Barney went into Fred's house and drank his last beer. It was called a Cactus Cooler, but it was his last beer. Fred's been thinking about since he got off of work. If you remember that episode, he was so excited. I got one last Cactus Cooler. I just need that drink. It's 5 o'clock, and it wasn't there. It was very disappointing. And that's how I felt many, many times, especially during the Great Pause, and especially during that Italian restaurant being closed. I could feel Fred Flintstone's angst. And she said, "Armand, there's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction." And I was like, you do not give a singer-songwriter a slogan that rhymes. Because that would be a song. So I went, give me a chord there, and I'll try to remember what I did one day. One day we're driving in the car, and we used to say it to each other all the time. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's actually the antivirus for disappointment. Because you start looking for the direction. So I went, there's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. Oh my God, I just wrote a pirate song. Do we have any pirates in the audience? Arr! How much does it cost for a pirate to get their ears pierced? About a buccaneer. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. On the day that I was born and smiled upon my cheeks, you think that I would ascertain the world as rather bleak. But I heard a voice of wisdom in my ear would ring. Don't think the world is against you, there's no such thing. Don't think the world is against you, there's no such thing. Your turn. There's no such thing as rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. It's never rejection. It's God pointing us in another direction. Na, 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 na. At an early age, I knew true love would be my quest. Though many trials and tribulations put me to the test, there were a dozen lovely maidens, much heartache they would bring. I mock the world's against me, but there's no such thing. I mock the world's against me, but there's no such thing. Oi! There's no such thing as rejection. It's not when he goes in another direction. It's never rejection. It's not when he goes in another direction. No, 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 no. I'm moving through my renaissance into my middle ages, becoming fully realized. I trust my inner sages. My quest is done, I found my bride, this holy grail I breathe. The world was never against me, there's no such thing. The world was never against us, there's no such thing. Oi! And so it is, thank you. What's the Poppy's favorite letter? R. You'd think it was R, but we fancy the C. Okay. Dale. Dale. He's only heard that today for the first time.
Never heard it before. And I was so engrossed in what I heard, I'd forgotten where I am. It's the time to get our offerings out and hold it between our hands or over our heart. And feel the energy of prosperity flowing through you to Williamsburg Unity Spiritual Center and out into the community. Together, let us say the prayer of plenty. In the infinity of this moment, all is perfect, whole, and complete. We acknowledge the one presence, the one power expressing through us, and Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center every moment of every day. We open our hearts to the wisdom and intelligence that exists in the universe and in our minds, through which all resources and all healing comes. All doubt is released as we trust our needs are being met in this moment. Divine order is unfolding for our highest good now, and so it is. Take the moment. There's the basket towards the center with the little lights on it. We invite our friends viewing to go to Zippy, which I've never heard of, or PayPal, which I have heard of. Please be generous.
We'll invite you to sing. Oh. Okay. That's right.
All right. Armand and Angelina want everyone to have their music, so they offer their CDs on a suggested exchange basis. Please take what you desire, give from your heart, and feel free to tithe in the future if you don't have it now. And again, there's a basket in the back. It's purple, and you can make your contributions to Armand and Angelina there. We all appreciate their contribution to our service today, and we hope we'll be generous.
So we have announcements, right?
We do have announcements.
Let's
Let me do those
Let's
first.
go right into announcement. I didn't realize that there wasn't people walking around doing the
Collecting.
offertory. So I had an offertory song set, but hey, no need to use an offertory song if they're not walking around. So that's good.
Okay.
See, we're being flexible.
So let's do the announcements. Today at 12:30, Armand and Angelina will be offering an angel harp and sacred sound meditation experience. And then on Monday, tomorrow evening, at 6 p.m., they will share a musical comedy concert. Flyers for both events are on the stand in the back of the sanctuary and in the fellowship hall. And I invite you all to invite all your friends. This Tuesday, October 15th, from 7 to 8 p.m., Michael George will lead the Sound of Soul gathering, singing Hugh. Hugh is a sacred mantra, an ancient name for God. If you're interested in attending, please see the flyers on the stand in the back. On Wednesday, Jamie Fitzwater will lead a weekly gentle yoga class right here in the sanctuary from 7 to 8 p.m. She has mats available for anyone to use. There's no set fee for the class, but again, donations are appreciated. And then Saturday, Daryl Key will lead a meditation class from 1 to 2 p.m. There's no fee for the class, and again, donations are welcome. Next Sunday, Duncan and Ingrid Hamra will be our guest facilitators for what is called the Flip Church, Church Without a Sermon. Flip Church is an interactive service format that we have presented 3 or 4 times already since it was originally put to us. They bring the structure, a few carefully written questions meant to inspire conversation, where the congregation gathers in 2s and 3s and answers these questions to each other. The talk is short, about 5 minutes, which means the congregation has 15 to 20 minutes to speak with each other. It is a lot of fun, it's heartfelt, and inspires a deeper level of connection between all of us. I invite any viewer to come because you can't do it remotely. If you talk to each other in person, there's a new depth to the experience and to the participation in this unity. Also next Sunday, there'll be a board meeting after the fellowship. Anyone who's interested is welcome to attend. The meeting typically lasts no more than an hour. If you come, you'll get an idea of what the board wrestles with in order to keep this site, this venue open for all of us on Sunday and to offer the various activities during the week. If anyone from the congregation has a special announcement, an event, an activity. I see. All the activity is going to happen here during the week. If you have a prayer request, please email your request to our prayer chaplains at prayerunitywilliamsburg@gmail.com. You may also write it and put it in the prayer box here to my right. Remember, all prayer requests are held in the strictest of confidence by our prayer chaplains. We love to stay in touch. Go to our website, unitywilliamsburg.com, fill out the information to be on our email list to receive our weekly newsletter, which is informative, features upcoming events, guest speakers, and articles. Or, if you're here, you can fill out a form on the side table, put it in the prayer box, and it'll get to the correct person. And if you're online, go to unitywilliamsburg.com.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have some nice consolation gifts for you backstage. So a couple of thank yous before we go into our peace song. Thank you, Amy, for working with me on the emails and making everything happen. Bob for connecting with us. Susan for connecting with us to help bring us back here. This center has way more activities than your typical Unity church that is much larger. So my theory behind that is y'all are building it with an excitement and an enthusiasm and with activities and with stuff going on that's going to attract more people. As they said in the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. You're not waiting to have 100 people here before you make it an exciting church. You've made it an exciting church now, and that's just very exciting. Something every night of the week is very, very rare. So what do y'all do for the peace song? You form a circle or whatever y'all do? Let's do it.
We're going to bless you first.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of shy.
We bless you. Or we start with love. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We hold Christ in you.
Okay, we're gonna play the peace song, and then we're gonna sing the prayer of protection, because if you sing and speak, it's like praying twice. This is the rock and roll version. Same melody, same word. Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be a moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So imagine now our Indian poet, James Dillard Freeman, got together with the Reverend James Brown. This is the prayer of protection. All right, here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The light of God surrounds us. The light of God calls us. The light of God protects us. The presence of God is wherever we are. God in all of us. Let's do it again. The light of God surrounds us. The light of God calls us. The light of God protects us. The presence of God is wherever we are. God in all of us. Wherever we are. God in all of us. Good God, wherever we are, and God is all is well. Thank you. I'm grateful you guys for the CNC concert before. Tomorrow night will be different. All comedy and fun.